Welcome guys to the Zelda Q&A, part 5 of the Q&A, and I bet you didn't expect me to see me like this in the thumbnail here going on. Yes, I bought a Halloween costume basically last year and I thought, yeah, for this Q&A, it's time to go all out. Do I look good in blonde? Probably not. The wig's crazy. Everything's crazy. I've got the Skyward Sword here, scarf. Apart from that, I'm all dressed up, ready to go. This is a Twilight Princess Link costume, if you couldn't guess, by the way. But yes, it's crazy times indeed. So why wait so long to do a Zelda Q&A? Well, I think you might be able to guess the answer to that one. But let's get into the questions to be able to do that. Next to my lovely sword and shield. Ah, Mr. Drippy fell off as he pulls out the Master Sword Incarnate. People question if I'm a Zelda fan. Well, I guess you can kind of tell now a little bit more. Well, let's get on with the questions, eh? Rather than me just being here completely goofy in full Link outfit. I wonder what you guys think of this. So the main question I've had for so long is, will you be doing more Zelda games? Will you be doing more Zelda Let's Plays? When will the next Zelda game come? All of that kind of themed jazz. Everyone wants more Zelda, and I've already done 13, 14 Zelda Let's Plays at this point in time. There's not that many games left. Plus, as I've explained many times before, I like to do these things in kind of like seasons, where we had the original 5 3D console Zeldas, then we had a big stint of Zeldas, mainly like the handhelds and that kind of games, so we did those, and now we're going to be moving on probably into another season with new games being released. So I was basically waiting for new games to be released, new games to come out. So, call this your announcement if it will. Zelda season restarts now. We are getting right to it with my scarf going completely kaputski over here. And my hat going off as well, full on blonde. This is a bit random, isn't it? Look for me with a beard. This is Link in Middle Ages, I don't know, where his roots showed through. And yeah, you can see what real hair colour he has. No, I'm destroying a dream. But basically this is the announcement for Triforce Heroes. Triforce Heroes will be coming to the channel as soon as I can, maybe straight after this video. You never know, with the power of editing and the power of things I can get done, and also the power of mail and getting me the game in time. So, with that said, now you know. That's the answer to your question. Zelda Let's Plays coming to you very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. Next question on the Zelda Q&A. How many Zelda games do you have? Plus I'm awesome. Well, I bet I look very weird right now, rather than awesome, that's for sure. The costume is slowly peeling away, that's for sure as well. Right, so I own pretty much all the Zelda games in hard copy. At the moment, I have some of them with me. Others are kind of around the place, kind of like the N64 cartridges and that, and Link's Awakening, all that. There are a couple I haven't owned on hard copy in there, pretty much the earlier titles. So as you can see here, look, I own Skyward Sword, you know, pretty much from my Let's Plays. Hyrule Warriors! Twilight Princess! I even own Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. I bought that with all the Game Boys and all the Link leads and all that when it first came out. Of course, you guys know I got Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, A Link Between Worlds. Now I do own physical copies of Ocarina of Time, and I do own a physical copy of Majora's Mask, but they're kind of stored away for now. Apart from that, I have owned physical copies of both the Oracle's games, and A Link to the Past, but I don't think, not A Link to the Past, A Link's Awakening, but I never owned A Link to the Past physically, or Zelda 1 or Zelda 2. So because I haven't owned A Link to the Past, I also never had the original 4 Swords, which I supposedly came out as a digital download for America. I don't know if that's actually come out for the EU yet. But apart from that, to add on to the entire list, just dropped off by the mail, Zelda Triforce Heroes. So, it's here. I'm ready to play it. As soon as I film this Q&A, in fact, I'm going straight onto it. I really, really am. Should I take off the wig? I don't know. Does it look attractive? I don't know. Do I look weird? Probably. But there we go. That's pretty much all my hard copy owns, so you know exactly what I have at this point in time. And lovely little games come through the mail as well, so I'm looking forward to playing that for you guys on the channel. Right, next question. So, here's another one about the Zelda games. Can I do Zelda 1 and 2? Probably going to be the hardest ones for me to try to play because I haven't played them before. They're pretty much the Zeldas I have never touched. It seems a bit sacrilege to say I've never touched the originals, but pretty much I came on board with Zelda, I think it was, well, because I started off on the Sega side of things playing Sonic, my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time. It was probably the first for quite a few people. I'm an older gamer, so to be honest, I should have experienced Link a little bit before that, but I didn't. So it's kind of, that's where it started. So I missed most of the earlier games. When I got a Game Boy, I did play a Link's Awakening. I borrowed that, I think, if I remember correctly. And then I bought pretty much, you know, Majora's Mask and, well, all the way upwards from then, if you know what I mean. Wind Waker with the collector's thing. Oh, I've got Wind Waker over there, I forgot about that. Yeah, I've got Wind Waker as well. That came with the Ocarina of Time Master Quest, so I own that physically on disc and physically as a cartridge as well, so I own the two separate versions of Ocarina of Time. Ah, thank you for helping me answer more questions. But yes, I own Zelda 1 digitally, because of course you can buy it on 3DS Shop. You can buy it on many, many other platforms of the Nintendo lineage, let's put it that way. So I do intend to play it in time. Plus, of course, Hyrule Warriors has given me a handy map, which basically tells me where the secrets are. Or at least we played through all the secrets, if you know what I mean. Hopefully it's on correctly. It's just looking weird on the camera. But still, Zelda 2 supposedly is like the hardest game of the franchise, or something along that line, being the side-scroller, completely different from everything. So that's going to be very interesting. But yes, a new Zelda season begins. That's what I've been saying at the start. If a new Zelda season begins, what Zelda games can it really encompass at this point in time? What games haven't I played? Well, Zelda 1 and 2 are two of those games. And of course, Zelda Wii U in the future. So, we'll see what I play. But if a new season's starting, what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen indeed? Will I play them? And so we move on to the next question of the list, and as you can see, the wig's gone. Man, that thing was distractingly itchy, but that's what wearing a wig's all about, I guess. So, do I look knightly to you? Do I look knightly in the whole Link garb? I don't know. I'll be a Hyrulean knight stooge kind of thing. While Link goes saves the world, I'll probably be letting Hyrule Castle be overtaken by Ganon at this point in time, wouldn't I? But as we move on, Hyrule Warriors is the next question. Will I play more of it? Or more to the point, will I complete its expansive range of DLC? Will I play the Majora's Mask DLC? Because you'd like and comment all of it, which is a great sentiment, thank you. But, right, Hyrule Warriors is a massive, massive, expansive game. And when I said this at the time, or when Hyrule Warriors was coming to an end, in its natural stint, after we completed the first adventure map, the adventure map you get with it, it was kind of like, oh wait a second, if I do the Majora's Mask DLC, and then I do all the other DLCs, I'm gonna be here for an entire year playing these same maps over and over, with, yeah, different challenges, but I kind of need a break. And that was at the end of the Zelda season, in fact, where I've been playing Zelda for quite solidly a time. I don't know when I started that Zelda season, but it's probably about a year of Zelda straight on the channel, so I thought, yeah, we'll have this break now. End of a Zelda season, we'll move on, play some different games, because different games, different variety, different viewers like different things. I'm trying to, like, just encourage you guys to have a diverse little gaming kind of, like, thing on this channel. I've got so many games going on. But yeah, I always intended, if I can finally get to live stream, how many times have you heard that sentence? To do more Hyrule Warriors. Like, it'd be one of the games that I could easily put on and just start off getting into the swing of live streaming, being a live streamer, being live instead of, you know, being a recorded guy that's behind a camera. So it might happen in future. If it does, it's live stream. Like, for a long time ago, I said, if I do hero mode on Skyward Sword, it's going to be live stream. So yeah, that's basically the way that one crumbles. Let's move on to another question. Which Zelda game has the best soundtrack? According to me, of course, because everyone's going to have their different opinions, everyone's going to think different things. Do you know what? What lent more to my kind of appeal in music? Because I'm like, I like metal, I like rock, I like you know, the guitar is an instrument, the electric guitar. So you know what? Hyrule Warriors actually piqued a lot of my kind of like, yeah, kind of nice version, you know, electric guitar versions of the songs I know. I kind of like that quite a bit. Of course, nostalgia's sake always will say Ocarina of Time for me. The Bolero of Fire was a personal favourite song. To be honest, when I originally played the game, I think I just played that song a lot because I actually just generally like the song. Also, its structure kind of reminded me a little bit of a cartoon I watched when I was a kid, Thomas the Tank Engine. When they were trying to get up hills, there was always this kind of struggling music, and yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. It was really weird. But Ballerina Fire was my jam, my Ocarina jam. I really liked that. But you've got to always cite Wind Waker, I feel, as well, for that lovely... Well, it thematically fit perfectly. It just fit nicely. The music fit with the atmosphere. Sometimes quiet, sometimes you hear the wind, sometimes you just get the atmosphere. Then you go to like the islands and you get that nice like kind of like lilt with a... I know it's some kind of stringed instrument, but it's like... So I'd probably say out of the three, I mean, Ballerina Fire was my jam, and the nostalgia goes for Ocarina of Time, but I'd probably go with Wind Waker of the lot. Though Hyrule Warriors has my kind of like, yeah, you've mixed up the music in the way that I find cool. That's pretty much how that one went. Right, here's a multi-tiered, really big question. I'm going to have to read this one on the tablet, of course. Do you often watch Zelda-related videos on YouTube, such as Zelda theories, glitches, etc.? Now, I do know of certain ones, like, for example, Ocarina of Time, the speedrun one, where you go into the first boss and you miraculously end up as Child Link versus Ganon for a speedrun. Personally, I've never been a fan of glitches in games. It's just not me. Mainly because, well, just skipping loads of the content doesn't seem that fun to me, so I just shy away from them. Not really interested in those videos. The theories and that, I mean, theories are being kind of shut down a fair bit by the Hyrule Historia nowadays, so it's kind of a non-thing. I know there's like other things like the Ben Drown creepypasta and all that. I think there is a question for that a little bit further down. What do I think of Ben Drown, the creepypasta? I kind of just stayed away from it, and then when I played that bit on Majora's Mask and I got the statue of Link, which I called, I think, Derp Link at the point in time because of the way he looks, yeah, you guys started mentioning it and I was kind of like, Creepypastas are also something I'm not really that into. I know of course, of some of them, like the music from Lavender Town in Pokemon, is it? The thought of the dulcet tones created suicidal mindsets in children in Japan and up the suicide rates and stuff like that. That's some weird stuff there, that's some weird stuff. Creepypastas are weird stuff, that's what I really think of them, to be honest. Right, so I'm looking down, what is your top 5 or 3 Zelda games? Top 5 or 3? It's like, oh, that's 4. 3? That's very specific. I know, I actually quite liked the DS games quite a bit, where I think they were not really looked upon so well. Hyrule Warriors provided a completely different playstyle, which is always good. To be honest, love Skyward Sword, me. Playing with that actual thing, standing up and playing. You saw how much fun I was having in Demise. That was one of the memorable moments of the series as well. So much fun had with that. Of course, Twilight Princess is a great game, but I just love that one. I remember playing... I put Wind Waker above as well, Twilight Princess, personally for me, just for the sense of exploration and the unknown out there. Of course, Twilight Princess has a ton of stuff in it. I know it's literally probably the fan favourite. I'm wearing the costume. It is the fan favourite, but there are other bits in other games that I just like more for setting up the archetype or trying something new. Whereas this was kind of like the AAA Zelda. The Zelda that was made to be the blockbuster. A little bit less of the fancy in terms of trying new things. Of course, with the Wii version, it did actually use the Wii Remote, but of course it was developed for the GameCube. So, yeah. I'd probably say Skyward Sword was my top 1. Just because of the control scheme, just made it memorable being able to do it. In fact, I'll probably be very disappointed in Wii U Zelda doesn't use it in some senses as well, though. It'll probably use the tilt in some way. I want to use that sword again, and I want to use it accurately, and I want to use it to really skillfully play. That's basically what I want to do. So, the top 5 memorable moments in your Zelda Let's Plays. The moment where I got trumped over by some monsters in Wind Waker when I was just in the temple going, welcome back. Demise battle. Brilliant. To be honest, most of the final battles usually are. Accidentally shooting Ganon in the rear end on Link Between Worlds. That was completely unintentional. I just accidentally pressed the button while trying to escape. Worked perfectly. That's the way to play. Olizandri Luck's the way to go. And to be honest, Let's create some more rather than talk about the old. Let's create some more. Right, what is your top 5 items in Zelda series? Personally, I like the claw shot most. It is pretty much a great item. Of course, you've got like the standard items like the spinner from Twilight Princess and other games, but to be honest, most of them are probably going to be in Skyward Sword again, just for the way you move them. Even the beetle, just being able to do that whole thing and get it up there. So stuff like the beetle. The bow and arrows are always a top favourite because once you've got that, you know, you're in serious business, especially if you can get elemental arrows. Especially if you can get those. Of course, Boomerang being able to bring back items, the hook shots and the claw shots, all of those are brilliant because, well, they get you around the place. Places you haven't been. That's the point in Zelda, the sense of exploration. Bombs kind of need a new trick, really. That's why I guess bomb tubes were invented, but they need a little bit more of a kick rather than just reveal those hidden walls, I think. And the last one there was, what is your top 5 or 3 Princess Zelda in the Zelda series? Well, obviously, we're going to go somewhere along the lines of Tetra, kind of Zelda, Spirit Track Zelda for actually going along with you and being an actual character, and Hyrule Warriors Zelda for actually fighting and being playable and, you know, actually being able to smash people up. I know people won't count Hyrule Warriors as part, you know, it's part of the main series, but still, whenever Zelda is portrayed as a strong female character, it's basically what I'm after, rather than the damsel in distress expressly. Of course, in Spirit Track, she was the damsel in distress still, but she was a strong female, controlled the invincible phantoms, followed you all the way along. I know she was the companion character, but she was very useful and very implicit in rescuing herself for once. Tetra, of course, was just a strong tomboyish character. Of course, she did get captured in the end. But, you know, that's just the way cookie crumbles sometimes, or it seems to be the formula in Zelda games. To be honest, I'm actually on Team Female Link, you know, that kind of thing for the next one. Not Zelda as the main protagonist. Team Female Link is where I stand on that. I know it's a weird divide there. I don't mind the gender switching, but Link being the hero and the Zelda being the ruler of Hyrule, I like that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean their genders aren't just interchangeable at this point in time, rather than thingy. Or, you know, a Link that works with a strong Zelda. Or even a Zelda game where you can play as both. You know, you could choose, or you could switch between. They both are the protagonist. That's what I'm looking for, to be honest, in the future. Any game where Zelda's been shining, which is, to be honest, been the more recent games, are usually more memorable for me. So let's move on to another question, rather than stick on that one for so long. Right then, okay Oliz, am I interested in playing The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords for the channel, and how and why and all that jazz? Well, to be honest, I'd love to download that other Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. I don't know if that's actually happened yet and come out on the EU. But for this, to be honest, when you play it, as a Let's Player, and as the kind of person who I am who likes to show all those extra screens and all that, I really would like to play that one 4-player and be able to record every screen, which requires a lot of technology, which is why I've never tried to do it yet, rather than play it single player or something like that. Being able to play it multiplayer, being able to record all the screens as you go into the stuff, being able to record all the action is a cool thing. There are Let's Plays like that on YouTube. I guess people forked up their own money for that kind of thing. But that's kind of what I really want to do with a 4 Swords Let's Play. Getting people together to do that, now that's another story. Getting all the tech for that, so you see what I mean here. That's basically my sticking point for playing that one. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Let's move on to another question. So, if you wanted to redo any of your Zelda Let's Plays, which one would it be? Also, would I consider doing a live Let's Play? Again, like I did with Skyward Sword. Keep up the great work, thank you! And I hope I still make awesome videos for you, that's for sure. Right, it's basically, you've answered your own question, because if I wanted to redo any of them, it would be Skyward Sword. 1, because it's the hero mode. 2, because I could do a live Let's Play of it again like I did before. Basically a live Let's Play, or why I called it a live one. Of course, it was one of my first ones, but I called it a live because you got to see all the moves and actions I did to input and play the game. That's why I called it live. Of course, I could sit there and play with a camera on me like this, and call that a live Let's Play because you get to see me as I play. Of course, you get to hear me as I play, so all Let's Plays are live. I'm not doing post-commentary. Everything I say is what's going on right there and then. But yeah, that's why I called it a live Let's Play. One, because I was unsure about Let's Plays. I hadn't done them before, and I was kind of learning to do them, if you know what I mean. So I labelled it that, maybe to look at something different. Two, because I was doing the actions with you and doing that. So that would be the one I was most likely to replay. One, because I could do that again. Two, because I could do hero mode. And three, because... well, you've heard my voice change over the years, haven't you? Of just more confidence and more confidence and more confidence. Anything further back than that, and I've got all the weird hairstyles. I was a bit stockier then. I'll put it that way politely. Yeah, stockier. So yeah, even for image reasons, it's just weird. It's just weird. But let's move on to another question. So have I ever gotten a game over in any of my Let's Plays of The Legend of Zelda? You guys can answer that one, can't you? No is the answer to that. I have been dropped to 0 hearts and ferried up. Skyward Sword is a very good example of that. In the Demise battle, that took place. But a full game over? No. There's always this point in Zeldas where you get a certain amount of hearts and then you get your first fairy. And then you're there. You get your first couple of bowls, you get the health recovery items, you get a fairy so you can always revive. And at that point in time, it gets a little bit harder to drop down. Like, I say a little bit, it's probably more along the lines of lot, because then you've got health that you can budget in just in case. So basically, it was only the Demise fight that managed to pop me a fairy, if I'm right in saying. We've never had a straight game over in a Zelda game. We have had straight game overs in other games, like The Last Story, which was a bit harsh, I have to say, just for a running away event. I wasn't expecting to have a game over for that. Most games wouldn't do that nowadays, but that's because nowadays games are supposedly easier after all. But yeah, no game over, we're all good. Right, moving on to another question. What's my favourite Zelda dungeon? There's so many. How many Zelda dungeons has there been at this point in time? If you count, like, there's about probably an average of 9 dungeons a game? Maybe 8, maybe 7. I think there was 5 in Wind Waker. So, you know, it's like, say like 7 and there's been like 15, 16. That's a lot to count from. We're looking at over 100 Zelda dungeons. But generally, I like the ones that kind of bring in themes from others. So, for example, a lot of my memorable ones have come from Ocarina of Time. That last kind of dungeon, if you could call it that, Hyrule Castle itself, or Ganon's Castle, when you go in and you break the 6 seals, you've got themes from each dungeon and puzzle elements from each dungeon. You've then got the climbing up the dungeon, you've got the Dead Man's Volley, and then you've got the climactic run down and fight the evil Ganon in his pig form at the end. That as a whole dungeon, if you count that, is probably the best one. But, I mean, I remember originally a lot less confident than I am now on Zelda, and playing through Ocarina of Time originally, I couldn't do the Shadow Temple for a very, very, very long time. I was too scared of the things that came down from the ceiling to even play the game. In fact, one of my greatest fears as well was always present in the Water Temple. Thankfully, though, for the Blue Tunic, it wasn't that bad. But in-game water and the possibility of drowning in a game actually messes with me big time. It really does. The original Sonic, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, for example, the second level of Sonic 2, I know this isn't Zelda, is the level filled with Megamack, the Chemical Plant Zone, if I'm right in saying. I couldn't complete that for ages. And then you go on to like a Marble Garden Zone after that, I think it is. No, not Marble Garden, but it's Aquatic Ruin Zone. I think it's that one. So it's more water. I couldn't do these games for ages. It took me years of just growing up and then being able to do them because I was less fearful, because I was older, to be able to do them. So the Shadow Temple was actually one of those things. It actually stopped me completing it for months and months and months because I was too scared to go in. Can you believe it, with me jumping in every sculpture? I don't think you can. Let's move on to the next question. Right then, 3 questions that thematically build in to the same thing here. Let's read them out using the tablet of questions. Are you thinking of doing the next Legend of Zelda game that's coming to Wii U? Well, I think you know that I, of course, am. Definitely. Even with Nintendo's copyright, you can probably guarantee I'm going to be there. After all, I'm there for Triforce Heroes, aren't I? Right. What do you want to see in Zelda U? And what's your opinion about Nintendo moving back from the motion controls like the Wii to the buttons in the Wii U and the Zelda series? Now that one's also been somewhat elaborated upon. I'm kind of sad about that. I liked using the sword, but to be honest, a Zelda game's a Zelda game, and as long as they do innovative stuff with what they've done there, I'll be happy. Because that's what really Zelda's about. It's one of the Nintendo's innovative franchises. Even though it somewhat has the same story and same formula, usually they do something with the hardware that other games don't. The Nintendo first-party games really eke the most out of their hardware that they can. And as long as there's something kind of cool elements using that, I'll be happy, because I love playing like with new little toys and stuff. Because, well, let's put it this way, Nintendo put out lots of little interesting things in their consoles. And most game developers just develop a standard game and they don't use them. Then you see something come along like, was it Phantom Hourglass, wasn't it? I think it was. Impossible to complete on the 2DS because the map, where you close the thing, you open it again, and I haven't seen that in another game. Has it happened in another game? I don't know, but Nintendo uses that. So I'm just happy if they do that. I would have loved to play with that again. But I'll be happy if they use that to some kind of really cool thing as well. To be honest, we'll end up strapping it on us like this, like an inventory item that we put there, and that'll be the shield, and then we'll still use a Wiimote. I doubt it, but that would be an interesting idea itself, because you could turn it over and you could like switch items on the fly, and then shield. And then someone's Wii remote falls off their arm, and then it breaks. And Nintendo has many, many lawsuits, and has to pay much money for damages. Indeed, damages indeed. So yeah, what do I want to see in Zelda Wii U? Basically just the cool stuff. Cool stuff happening with the hardware. Nice little new techniques and things. Just that kind of thing. What I just said. Also, a strong Zelda female character. If Link isn't female anyway. Because of course Link currently looks very androgynous. Very androgynous indeed in what we've seen so far. So, yeah. Basically, sprawling world is basically what they're going to give us. It's going to be like the Skyrim of Zeldas by the sound of it. So surely there'll be tons to explore, and I hope there's just rewards and nice little secrets hidden away everywhere. If it's going to be a really open world kind of thing, then you need caves with many dungeons inside, with the heart piece. Something actually like maybe longer and challenging than just like one single puzzle to get a heart piece. If you've got a big world, you have to use that world. Basically, that's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want Nintendo to keep doing what they're doing because they've done very well with the Zelda franchise, which is why we like it. And the final question, and supposedly the important question. What made me love the mailman in Zelda series, and how the onwards to mail has become your catchphrase? Well, of course, we haven't been able to use it lately. The mailman itself didn't really stay in the Zelda series properly, did it? It's a bit of criminal crime. But I don't know, he just came along and he was animated in his weird just ambushing you in the middle of the field. And then he's so enthusiastic about his job. Of course, there's kind of backstory about that with the character in Ocarina of Time, and like he's confident in his running speed. He so loves his job, and he does it throughout all the dangers, all the monsters that are around. He has no problem with it whatsoever. He's just enthusiastic. Let's put it that way. For a guy fraught in a world of terrors with something really bad's going along, he still does his job, and the mail gets to you not only on time, but wherever you are. Not even to a delivery address, which is why I'm quite thankful. You know, the mailman's been really good with this. So that brings an end to the Zelda Q&A, or the questions that I got in. Of course, more Zelda will now begin. When will you see this next episode? Ah, that is the question, that is the question. Might it be later? Might it be right after this? Well, I guess you'll find out if you watch this far in the Q&A. So ends the Q&A session for 2015. And all my weirdness, with all my weird stuff and all my weird gear. I hope you enjoyed the random surprise that was Olizandri all dressed up in craziness and wigs and scarves, and where's the hats? The hats and all of that. This has been Olizandri, signing out as Link. Bye-bye.